What's up, guys? Welcome to my first YouTube video. My name is Jesse Eby, and thank you so much for being here, and rock on for being one of the first people to check me out if you're viewing this in 2018. I'm just gonna do a little bit of an intro, tell you who I am, where I came from, and the journey that I'm gonna be on that I want you to be a part of. Discuss with you some of the more darker, more personal times that I've had in my life, how I attempted suicide at one point in my life, how I ultimately pressed through it, and as of a couple years ago, I left America with only a backpack, never went back to America, and while I was here in Southeast Asia, I cured my own lifelong disease without the assistance of any doctors. Talk about what goals I have and ultimately the journey that I'm on, that I'm really excited about, and I'm excited to document. Stick around until the end of the video because I am going to be offering a giveaway to some of the earliest subscribers, and I want you to be a part of that, so stick around and find out how. Let's get into it. So real quick, what's this channel gonna be revolved around? It's gonna involve everything entrepreneurial, everything e-commerce and online entrepreneurship. This is what I live and breathe. This is what I'm passionate about. And I want to inspire people to get away from the 9-to-5 grind of modern day slavery and realize that they can pursue anything they want and they can pursue their dream. If they have the grind, if they have the grit, if they have the motivation, anybody can succeed. Because me as a person who left America with only a backpack and ultimately cured my own disease, I managed to press through and I'm managing to succeed. And I'm gonna document that journey in hopes that I can inspire and motivate others to do the same. And along the way, I'm gonna provide as much value and beneficial information as possible to try to create a one-stop shop for guidance to be able to succeed whatever your goals are. Because I understand how when you're working a 9-to-5 gig, you don't have all day, all week to sit down and research. And I know it's helpful when somebody has done all the research and lives all of this to be able to present it on the internet and provide genuine value. I know how beneficial that can be. With my knowledge on health and my disease, I might be able to help somebody and save a life along the way, because I should not be here. I really should not be here after everything I've been through. But somehow I managed, and if I can do it, literally anybody can. What's this disease that I have? I was born with a disease called Kalman syndrome, which ultimately makes it so a person never starts puberty. Now, eventually when I was 14, I was diagnosed with this, and one of the symptoms is not having a sense of smell. And that coupled with puberty never starting, I got kind of lucky, and some doctor heard of this rare disease and they realized that I probably had it. Not being able to smell, no puberty, I probably had this disease. Well, all fine and dandy, right? Problem solved, I just get it treated and move on with my life, right? No, didn't work out that way. What happened was I was being injected with testosterone to get my puberty started. I have to take hormones externally and I have to inject them. When I was a teenager, they began this protocol where they're injecting me with testosterone enanthate 1 time per month. Well, here's the thing. The nature of this medication is it enters your body when you inject it and it peaks up in the body, and then over a few days it's at its peak and then slowly tapers down as the week goes on. So by 6-7 days, the medication leaves your body. So what they were doing to me is they would inject me with testosterone 1 time per month. I would have my injection, I would be okay for about a week, and then I'd crash for 3 weeks back to having no hormones. And if you've met any ladies or you are a lady, you know how hormones play a role in the human body. It's the same thing for men. If a man does not have stable levels of testosterone, they're not going to be feeling great all the time. For me, it was a complete roller coaster of emotion for 14 years. You know, doctors threw pills at me. I had pills for focus, pills for anxiety, pills for depression, everything. I was told it was chemical imbalance. My family told me I had mental problems. My entire life, I was to think that I had some kind of mental problem. So I got pills for it, which kind of were a band-aid, but ultimately made the problem worse because it's fucking with chemicals in your brain, okay? When the actual root problem is that I did did not have hormones. I essentially had the hormone levels at a natural state as a 95-year-old man when I was a young adult. So this went on for years, a decade and a half. I was taking injections and I had roid rage. Everything was an emotional roller coaster. I would be angry all the time, be happy on some days. It looked like manic depression. One minute you're happy, the next minute you're extremely depressed, and it's kind of like bipolar disorder. That's really what it looked like I had. And what it was, it's the hormone. I would inject the hormones and then I'd feel good, and a few days later I'd come crashing down, and people are looking at me like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Are you bipolar? Why is your mood all over the place? Well, for 14 years is because I had the wrong injection protocol for my therapy. So as a result, I had crippling anxiety my entire life, crippling depression. I managed to press through and succeed at everything I did. Everything was a lot more difficult for me because I was kind of a loose cannon from a result of this wild hormone ride. I was kind of a loose cannon. I got in trouble a lot with the law. I was arrested for DUIs because just to survive and just to kill the anxiety when I was in social situations, I would kind of drink like crazy. Age 18 and 19, I got a couple DUIs and I was on probation for a while, did some jail time. But amongst all this, all the roller coaster of emotion and the nightmare that I was living in, I still pressed forward and I did well at everything I attempted. So I worked in a grocery store and it didn't take me very long, but I worked my way up into management and worked my way into the top of the pay scale, which came out to like $20 an hour with full benefits, health insurance. We had 401k and everything else. Not bad for a guy that was in his 20s at this point. And despite all the emotional issues and everything that I had, somehow I managed to push through and kind of succeed. I was great at my job, but I was just miserable. I was dabbling in a lot of recreational things and I had pharmaceutical drugs. I had improper hormones. So it was just a collaboration of everything, complete chaos in my life. And I was just kind of a shell of a human being. It's like I was living in a fog and reality wasn't really there, and I was fucked up drinking all the time and just trying to get by because I had such anxiety. And then I had these mental pills that were fucking with my chemicals, and it was just a mess. So as a result of all this compiled together, I did try to kill myself at one point. I tried overdosing. I did enough that should have killed an elephant. Somehow my heart kept kicking and here I am. I managed to press through that, and from then forward I had more successes of what I did. I ended up leaving my job in grocery to pursue a traveling job as a wind turbine technician and travel around America working on wind turbines. And the pay for that was pretty good. About 8 years working in grocery, and then I stopped and I wanted to pursue working in green energy. I wanted to work a job that was more sustainable. I ended up pursuing school as a wind turbine technician. They were not going to allow me into school because of my DUI and my record. Months went along and I did everything I could. I'm just trying to get into school so I could move on with a better career and find some kind of happiness. And eventually, as months go on, I'm talking to the school. I eventually convinced them to allow me to enter, and they just had me sign a form that they would not be guaranteeing me placement for a job after graduation, which was one of their guarantees. They guarantee a job after graduation. I said, fuck yeah, okay, I'll get my own job. Just let me get the training, let me get the certifications, and I'll be good to go. So they eventually let me in, and I completed that schooling, and I went through and graduated, got a job as a wind turbine technician, did well for about a year. So I was able to earn a lot of liquidity. I put a lot of my money in the 401k, I put a lot of money in stocks, and I was doing pretty good. Again, I was miserable, just working this grind, killing myself. We're talking in negative 30-degree weather, but I pressed through for a year. I did well, I busted my ass, and I knew if I didn't at least do well at work or something, I was just gonna end up dying. I didn't have anything going for me. I was a hard worker, and that was about it. As far as my actual mental stability, I just knew I just needed to focus on something just to be able to survive, and I needed to succeed at least my job. I was just miserable, risking my life every day. It was rough, but I did it and I pressed through. After about a year of working as a wind turbine technician, I got laid off. After being laid off, I was back in my hometown and I could not get out of bed, really. These hormones just had me so fucked up, and I just did not have energy. I didn't have focus. The only thing that really kept me going is caffeine. and just desperation. That's all that kept me going in my life, to succeed at jobs, and just motivation and grit to just survive. And I got laid off, and when I got home, I was depressed. Since I was a traveling technician, I didn't have a place in my hometown that I was renting because I was traveling around America nonstop, and my expenses were paid for by my company. So I was living on the road basically. And I got home and I couldn't get out of bed. I was staying at my parents' place at the time. I was crying for no apparent reason. The anxiety and depression was just so bad. I just wanted to disappear. I just laid in bed, curled up all day. And at some point I was told I had to leave. About a month or so after being laid off, I was told I couldn't be there anymore, and that was it. I talked to my buddy and I had enough liquidity in the bank, and we ended up traveling Southeast Asia. I was kicked out of my parents' house right before Christmas 2015, I think. Me and my buddy took a flight to Bangkok, Thailand, right before Christmas. Flight was probably 2 or 3 times more expensive because the timing is right around Christmas. And we said, fuck it, off we go. And we flew to Bangkok and we traveled around for about a year or so, and had a great time meeting people from all over the world doing the exact same things we're doing. And the entire time drinking a lot just to stop this anxiety that I had around just people, the social anxiety for no reason really. Just the hormones being so imbalanced in me. I just kind of felt anxious and nervous all the time. So drinking kind of offset that a little bit temporarily. It's about when the stars were starting to align and I started to get closer to where I ended up curing my own disease and fixing this problem that I've been suffering from my entire life. So my buddy and I were traveling around for a while. We ended up splitting ways. I ended up dating this girl and traveling around with her around Laos, her country, and just exploring a little bit. Eventually, as time goes on, we eventually settle down back in Thailand, where we go to her cousin's, where I meet her cousin who's a bodybuilder, who's injecting testosterone and every other steroid under the sun. I talked to him. At this point, my sex drive was pretty low, and I was thinking, I should probably be taking testosterone again, because at this point, by the way, I hadn't been taking testosterone for I don't know how long. At some point in the past, I ran out of my prescription. Doctors never told me how important it was to keep taking it, and I crashed and never took it again. So my hormones were down real low, around a 95-year-old at this point. I end up getting some cream at this doctor in Thailand. They have no clue how to prescribe it. I just tell them, hey, this is what I take. And they're like, okay, whatever, here you go, and I'm taking it. But I end up meeting my girlfriend at the time's bodybuilder cousin, and he's obviously injecting testosterone. I could tell that much. He's fucking huge, and he's injecting every other steroid. So I asked him, hey man, I'm on TRT. Well, at the time I didn't even know it was TRT. I told him I'm supposed to be injecting testosterone, and I haven't done it for a long time, and I was asking where he gets his injections from. And as it turns out, it's available over the counter. You just go to the pharmacy and you buy it. So he showed me where that was. The price was pretty good, and a week later I ended up taking his advice. He suggested to me that I should be taking a weekly injection, which I was very hesitant because every doctor in America has always injected me per month. But he explained it to me and it kind of made sense, but I was skeptical, and it was completely different, way more frequent than any doctor in America has ever told me to take the medication. And I know if you take too much, it can be dangerous. So I was really skeptical. I did a little bit of research and found out, sure enough, people who are on testosterone replacement therapy should be injecting at least once per week, because like I said before, the medication peaks in your body around 3 days and then slowly tapers down over 6 or 7 days. Then it exits your body. So at very minimum, you need to be taking a small dosage every week. So I end up taking his advice and I start injecting, and a week later, my life completely changed. For the first time in my life, I felt normal. I felt like I was born. I felt like a human. Wow. It's like this fog was lifted off my face, and it was like I woke up. And it's hard to explain if you've never experienced it. I thought, and I'm sure a lot of people think this, I thought the way I was living life is exactly how life was, and I thought I was just fucked. No, I injected this medication, and a week later, I woke up for the first time in my life. At the time, maybe I was 26. I felt alive. My sex drive skyrocketed, and I felt normal for the first time in my life. I never knew what normal was. So I knew at this point that was the solution. My life had changed at that point, and I started researching non-fucking stop. non-stop started researching. I found forums with tons of information and even some actual testosterone replacement therapy doctors that chime in and give advice every once in a while. I knew that the amount that I was taking per the guy's advice who helped me out initially was too much because I was starting to puff up a little bit, and in hindsight, I know that's because my estrogen was too high. Retaining water. I was unhealthy at the time too. I wasn't eating good, just nothing but Thai food, which is my favorite food, but a lot of sodium and sugar and everything. I knew the injection protocol I was on was not good long-term. So I started research on testosterone replacement therapy and the blood work I need to take and everything to make sure it's safe because I was doing this completely on my own. I didn't have any doctor's help. There's no doctor that could help me. Even in America, there's no doctor that can help me. I knew my life had changed at this point and I began my research nonstop. So flash forward a year, which leads me to right now. Past year, I spent nonstop studying and researching this topic and nonstop trial and error until I found the perfect protocol and did all the blood work to find the perfect protocol for what works for my body. And I feel normal for the first time in my life. I lost all my body fat. My energy is better. I have more strength. My muscles grew to a baseline that never existed before. So I researched this for an entire year. And here we are now. I'm cured. I found the solution to what I had been suffering from my entire life. Doctors in America were completely useless on this topic. You know, nobody in Southeast Asia knew anything on this topic.
3 hours later.
I am tired of rambling and bitching. I just want to inspire people to follow their dream. When they hear my story, see all the bullshit that I've been through, maybe it can inspire them to follow their dreams and press through whatever problems they might be having. I haven't got it as bad as some people around the world, but I've kind of had a shitty time and I haven't had any support my entire life. I was able to manage and press through. I realized some people have it worse than me, but you know, I wasn't handed everything on a silver platter either. If I can accomplish what I've accomplished, literally anybody can. East Asia for a total of 2 years and been an entrepreneur for about 1.5 years. And on this channel, I'll be documenting everything that I've done towards success and everything that I learned along the way on my journey to become a millionaire by the age of 40. I want you to become a part of Eepster Nation. Hit the subscribe button and become a part of the family. Periodically, I'll be having giveaways, and for starters, as soon as I hit 100 subscribers, I'll be giving away $100 via PayPal, straight cash money. I've rambled on plenty, bitched and complained about all the struggles that I've had in my life. I want to hear from you. What kind of struggles have you been through? What are you currently struggling with? What are your goals? What are your ambitions? This is my first video. Introduce yourself in the comments below. My future videos will be more how-to and just strictly value on how to accomplish certain tasks, take steps forward in your goals. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.